Hey everybody, if you clicked on this video, you're probably thinking about starting to lift weights. So I'm going to cover 3 reasons why I think that's a really good idea. First, living better for longer. Second, performing better. And third, looking better. First, living better for longer. In recent years, there's a lot of research that's come out showing that being stronger and having more muscle mass is good for your general health. In particular, some studies looking at older individuals have found that those who are stronger and have more muscle mass are less likely to die across a study period. This is why people like Dr. Peter Attia, who are on the forefront of the longevity field, are becoming really bullish on lifting weights and resistance training recently. In addition to helping you live longer though, probably more importantly, lifting weights can help you live better. One aspect of this comes in the form of protection. Throughout your life, your bone density, strength, and muscle mass will all decrease as you get older. This is important because it means you're more likely to slip, less likely to be able to catch yourself when you slip, less likely to be able to pick yourself up off of the ground when you fall, and more likely to have a serious injury when you fall, like breaking your hip. Now this contributes to my first point about living longer, because this could literally be the difference between life and death. But it also contributes to your quality of life, because after a serious injury like this, your ability to be independent and even just move around and complete daily activities can be extremely curtailed. Anybody who has a grandparent or a parent and has seen them look pretty healthy and pretty normal, and then rapidly become like skin and bone and have difficulty moving around their house after even just like 4 weeks on bed rest, understands this point really well. And this moves us into the third bullet here about daily activities, in that lifting weights will help maintain your ability to do the things you enjoy doing day in and day out, and even the simple things that help you get around during the day. I know for many of you, if you're younger, maybe even teenagers or in your 20s, 30s, 40s, even 50s, the idea of not being able to get up out of bed or get up off of the toilet sounds pretty far-fetched, but this is the reality for a lot of elderly people. And if you think about it, for these people, getting up out of their chair is essentially like a 1 rep max squat, right? Being able to squat as much weight as they can. And if you're able to squat with extra load on your back, even something like just your body weight on the bar, which isn't that much to ask for younger individuals, then you'll probably never struggle with being able to get up out of your chair. And in general, strength is kind of like the basis for all of your daily activities. Your cardiovascular health and endurance are also important if you want to do things like go for hikes with your family when you're older, or go and walk on the beach. But none of that is possible if you can't even carry your body weight. So strength is kind of the basis for being able to do all the things you're going to want to do later in life. Point 2 is performing better. Now, there are some exceptions, but generally speaking, being bigger and stronger is advantageous for almost all athletes. This is particularly true for high school athletes. Like if you're a freshman point guard, and even if you have the same or higher skill level than some of the older players, if you're 120 pounds trying to come through the lane to get to the hoop, you're gonna run into some issues, right? So especially for high school athletes looking to play like JV or varsity as a freshman or sophomore, lifting weights, getting bigger and stronger is gonna be really advantageous. This is true for club athletes in college and even competitive collegiate athletes, which is why you see there's a strength program for essentially all athletes in college. This is also valuable for recreational athletes who are later in life, even 30s, 40s, 50s, and up, because it'll help you perform better, but it'll also mitigate injuries, when you're bumping around with people in the paint. And this will help you stay on the court because you won't have to take any breaks because you're hurt. And it'll also increase your longevity and ability to play those sports throughout the rest of your life longer. Now next, in terms of performing better, lifting weights can help with flexibility if we're talking about range of motion. Although there's kind of this idea that people who lift weights are a little bit stiffer, if we look at research, subjects who are lifting, subjects who are stretching, subjects who are lifting and stretching all improve their range of motion similarly. So lifting weights is just as good for improving range of motion as stretching, or stretching and lifting weights if you're lifting to end ranges of motion, which kind of makes sense because if you think about it, lifting weights, if you're stretching all the way deep into end ranges of motion, is pretty similar to like partner stretching, where you have somebody else helping you get deeper into your stretches. And one cool part of this is that stretched position where your muscle is pulled all the way down, like in a bench press, the bottom where you're really stretching out your chest and your triceps and your shoulders, is also really beneficial for building more muscle. The last piece here about performing better has to do with endurance. Endurance athletes are a little bit more vulnerable to becoming too bulky and adding too much muscle onto their frame because they want to stay light to a certain degree. But being able to produce more force, being stronger and more powerful, is advantageous for endurance athletes because it helps them race faster, and it improves their running economy and power output. If you think about a runner, essentially what they're doing is a series of single leg jumps, and being able to exert more force into the ground means that you'll be able to go farther with each jump. And the farther you can go with the same amount of jumps, the faster you're going to be running. This also comes into play in terms of tendon stiffness and thickness. So lifting weights can stiffen and thicken your tendons, which if you think about them, they're kind of like rubber bands. And every time you're loading with a step, when you're running, for example, that rubber band's being stretched out. And the thicker the rubber band is, the faster it's going to rebound and the more force it's going to rebound with, which again is going to help you get more out of every step you're taking. This will also mitigate injury risk, which is why you see most running programs for high school or college athletes incorporate some type of strength training. Now, our final point has to do with looking better, which in my opinion isn't the most important thing in the world, but a lot of people still go to the gym and exercise because they want to achieve a certain type of aesthetic. And essentially, no matter what aesthetic you're looking for, lifting weights is going to help you. Most commonly, if you want to look bigger and stronger, to look bigger, you want to get bigger. So lifting weights is going to help with that, putting more muscle mass onto your frame. But it'll also help with people who want to achieve the toned aesthetic. I think there's kind of this notion that being toned is this like whole separate thing. I'm not even sure if people know how to exactly define it, but really being toned is just about being muscular and lean. And one aspect of this is cutting and reducing your body fat to reveal the definition in your muscle mass, but you need to have muscle mass to begin with. So building muscle and lifting weights is also going to be beneficial for helping you become toned. And I think a lot of people who are after this toned look are, mostly females, and they're worried that lifting weights is going to make them look too bulky. But if you think about it, there are a lot of males who are biologically kind of more predisposed to being able to put on muscle mass because of testosterone and a bunch of other reasons. And even they have to work really hard and put in a lot of time and still sometimes struggle to put on muscle mass and bulk up. So don't worry, ladies. Lifting weights is not going to turn you into the Hulk or anything, but it will help you achieve that toned look that you're looking for. And lastly, even if you don't want to look super bulky, but you want to achieve like that kind of fit, like CrossFit look, lifting weights is going to help you because, again, you want more muscle mass to achieve that physique. So in conclusion, we covered that lifting weights is great for living longer, living better, avoiding injury, performing better, improving range of motion, improving endurance performance, looking more muscular, more toned, and more fit. And there are a whole bunch of other reasons that we could keep listing. But without even going to those, now we kind of face the question of why wouldn't you lift weights? I can think of 2 reasons off the top of my head. One being that you're worried about looking silly in the gym, and 2, that you simply don't know what to do. If you stick around, we'll cover both of those issues in later videos. And if you disagree with anything I've said, or think that there are some other reasons why you wouldn't want to lift weights, feel free to throw them down in the comments. Otherwise, that does it for this video. We'll catch you next time.